Mr. President, this year has been a landmark year in the global engagement on oceans and of the sea. Our understanding of the interdependence of our oceans, the global climate, weather patterns, and the prospects for sustainable development continues to improve all the time. We thank the Secretary General for his report A/72/70 on these and related issues. The UN Oceans Conference held in June this year brought the spotlight firmly onto the issues relating to the oceans. This was the first such high-level conference that focused on the various interlinked aspects of the condition of our oceans and its impact on sustainability of life itself. We welcome the comprehensive call for action issued by the conference, as also the voluntary list of commitments to which India also contributed. The Indian delegation was led at ministerial level. On the World Oceans Day, we announced the establishment of the India-UN Development Partnership Fund, the first project under which focuses on climate resilience for Pacific Island states. In this context, the first World Ocean Assessment Report presented in April was very useful in contributing to the science policy interface. The report was considered at the 8th meeting of the ad hoc working group of the whole on the regular process for the global reporting and assessment of the state of the marine environment, including socio-economic aspects. The group's subsequent meeting in September considered the elements for the preparation of the second World Ocean Assessment. The reports submitted by the ad hoc working group are useful for further deliberations. The April discussions of the working group fed into the deliberations held in May at the 18th meeting of the UN Open-Ended Informal Consultative Process on Oceans and the Law of the Sea. We welcome the report A/72/95 of the group. We support the continuation of this process. While the 1982 UN Convention on Law of the Sea that was adopted after decades-long negotiations lays down the basic framework for international law governing jurisdiction of the coastal state over adjacent maritime areas. What happens to the governance of areas beyond such jurisdiction is becoming increasingly important, especially in view of the rapid advancement in technology and our specific understanding. In this context, it is important that the preparatory committee discussing elements of the draft international legal binding instrument on the conservation and sustainable use of marine biodiversity of areas beyond national jurisdiction also reached consensus on a recommendation to a convening of an intergovernmental conference. The BBNJ is an important process that is expected to give shape to global governance of an aspect that is of importance to everyone. Mr. President, being a country with a vast coastline of more than 7,500 kilometers and over 1,000 islands, whose one-third population lives along the coast, India has a long-standing maritime tradition and abiding interest in ocean affairs. India is the world's third largest producer of fish and the second largest producer of inland fish. India has 12 major ports besides nearly 150 smaller ones. We are acutely aware of the challenges and opportunities that oceans represent, from sustainable fisheries to prevention and control of marine litter and plastic pollution, from affordable and renewable energy to ecotourism and early warning systems for disaster risk reduction and management, building resilience and adaptation to climate change. We must work towards innovative technologies for offshore renewable energy, aquaculture, deep sea bed mining, and marine biotechnology are providing new source of jobs and competitive advantage. Earlier this year, the historic first summit of the Indian Ocean Rim Association, where India is an active member, recognized blue economy as a driver of inclusive and sustainable economic growth and development. The need for greening the ocean economy is also becoming clear. India was an active participant in the multilateral efforts at developing a collective management of ocean affairs and one of the early parties to the 1982 UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. In addition to UNCLOS, India is a party to the agreement relating to the implementation of Part 11 of the Convention of 10th December 1982, Fish Stocks Convention 1995, MARPOL 73/78, the International Ballast Water Convention 2004 that protects invasive aquatic alien species, the London Convention 1972, and other agreements that regulate various activities of the oceans, especially the conservation and sustainable use of ocean resources. Mr. President, India cooperates with its partners in the region through its membership of the South Asian Seas Action Plan 1995, which is serviced by Secretariat of the South Asia Cooperative Environment Program. The main focus of the South Asian Seas Action Plan is on integrated coastal zone management, oil spills, contingency, planning, human resource development, and environmental effects of land-based activities. Mr. President, the smooth functioning of the institutions established under the Convention, namely the International Seabed Authority, the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea, and the Commission on the Limits of the Continental Shelf, hold the key to the proper implementation of the provisions of the Convention and to realization of the desired benefits from the uses of the sea. Mr. President, 3 decades ago, India was the first country to receive the status of a pioneer investor in the Indian Ocean. Indian scientists today collaborate in research stations on the Arctic Ocean, studying its links with the climate in our own region. Indian hydrographers, partners in capacity building efforts with our maritime neighbors. Indian institutions work closely with the regional partners in improving early warning systems for tsunami and cyclones. Indian naval ships are deployed in delivery of humanitarian assistance and emergency evacuation, and also patrolling sea lanes against pirates. India remains committed to a sustainable development of its Blue Economy Partnership for the 2030 Agenda, including the SDG 14. Thank you, Mr. President.